Food, culture, art, architecture, New Orleans has it all. In today's video, we're going to talk about the things that you should not do when you come to the city of New Orleans. But one thing you should do is come here to the Crescent City. Welcome to Travel Adventures with Eric B. I'm Eric B. If you're new here, I offer travel advice. I am a solo traveler and I do vlogs to help you travel better and more efficient. The first thing you should not do when you come to New Orleans is don't skip the World War II Museum. Rated by TripAdvisor as the #1 attraction in the city and the second attraction nationwide, the World War II Museum, which some people would think would be in D.C. with all of the different museums there, but the National World War II Museum is actually here in the city of New Orleans, and it is fantastic, very comprehensive and moving, as you get to see all different things, from uniforms to the aircraft, and when you come in, you get to pick a veteran, and you can follow him all the way through as you go through the museum looking at the different displays. It's $32 for a ticket for an adult. You can get the tickets online, $20 for students, military members, disabled people, children, and it's absolutely free if you are a World War II veteran. But if you've been in the military or you have family members that have been in the military you'd like to bring, the museum is truly fantastic, and you'll enjoy it even if you have no ties to it. Just looking at the history and looking at China and Britain and everything else that had to do with the war, looking at the uniforms, the aircraft, it's just an amazing place. The next thing you don't do when you come to the city is you don't underestimate the heat. Especially if you come in June, July, and August, it can be brutally, oppressingly hot. Your sweat will sweat, and it gets nasty, hot and humid as soon as you get off the airplane. So definitely do not underestimate the heat here. Do not come here expecting it to necessarily be cold. The weather does vary depending on what time of the year you come. If you come during the winter, it may be cold or it may not be cold. You come during the fall, it may be a little cool, it may not be cool. But I promise you, if you come during June, July, and August, probably early September as well, it's going to be really, really hot. The next thing you don't do when you come to New Orleans is you don't drive on Bourbon Street. Now, if you want to go drive on Bourbon Street early in the morning, like 6, 7 a.m., go for it by all means. Not a lot of traffic out. But the last thing you want to do is to go drive on Bourbon Street, even though they allow it in certain parts of Bourbon Street, or crossing Bourbon Street. Don't cross Bourbon Street. Don't drive on Bourbon Street as soon as it gets dark. There's been many times where people are driving across Bourbon Street and you have to get the cops to come out and direct traffic. People are out beating on their cars and stuff. They don't want to let them pass. Just don't do it. And there's more to it than just don't drive at all in New Orleans, but definitely don't drive on Bourbon. Your next don't when you come to the city of New Orleans is don't skip Frenchmen Street. Known to a lot of people as the locals Bourbon Street, Frenchmen has seen more tourists, I think, find out about it, and you see more tourists here than you did in the past. But it is still somewhat of a hidden gem, being it is not far from the French quarters of Bourbon Street. But not a lot of tourists come here because everyone flocks to the French quarters in Jackson Square and Bourbon Street. But Frenchmen Street itself is definitely a fun place to go hang out at. More of the locals are here, a lot of live music here, and just a really good time without quite the crowds of Bourbon Street. So when you come to New Orleans, make sure you do not skip out on Frenchmen Street. I highly recommend it. The next don't is don't think that Cafe Du Monde is the only beignet shop in New Orleans. I prefer Cafe Beignet, but there are many local beignet shops that you can go to within the city and have some wonderful, fresh, hot out of the grease beignets. Cafe Du Monde is fine. You know, you want to go for that experience, but you're going to go there, you're going to stay in a long line, and in my opinion, you can get better. Probably a long line a lot of times at Cafe Beignet as well, but you get better beignets there, and you can get really good beignets hot out of the grease all over New Orleans. So don't think Cafe Du Monde is your only option for that. The next don't when you come to New Orleans is don't party too hard on day one. Now, some people will go extremely hard during their time in New Orleans. They'll come here for a weekend, they'll go crazy Friday night, and then Saturday comes around, they're hungover and they're laying in their hotel room all day, not out exploring and enjoying the city. So don't come here and party too hard. Pace yourself. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and staying hydrated to go along with all that alcohol that you're consuming. Next don't is don't expect Bourbon Street to be clean. If you've been here, you don't expect it to be clean, but I make this point to add this because I know a lot of people have said they've complained about New Orleans. They've said that the city is filthy and it's disgusting. On Bourbon Street in particular, with so many people out, staying out all hours of the night, partying and having a good time, can get extremely filthy. And they do a great job overnight of cleaning this out and getting ready for the next day, but the smells, the trash everywhere, the smell of urine, everything. It can be very filthy. It's important that you don't let this ruin your vacation because New Orleans has so much to offer. Don't let this ruin it. The next thing that you shouldn't do in New Orleans is don't even drive here if you can avoid it. If you're driving your own vehicle down, park it. Pay the one-time fee. Do what you got to do. Catch Uber, catch the streetcar. Do what you got to do. Don't drive here. First of all, parking can be very, very expensive here. Second of all, parking can be hard to come by. It's easy to park somewhere and it's the wrong area and you get towed or you get a boot or a ticket or something like that. So it's not even worth being bothered with paying the fees or getting in trouble. So if you can avoid parking in New Orleans or driving, just don't drive here at all. The next don't is don't pass up an opportunity to get some good local food here in New Orleans. And I know oftentimes when we travel, people like to get the stuff that we're familiar with and the items that we eat at home. Don't pass this opportunity. How's your first experience there with the etouffee?
I'd never heard of etouffee, and it's a crawfish etouffee. Never even heard of it till you did your video on it. When you had what were your friends' names?
The Traveling Gilberts.
Oh yeah, that was the video. The other one was the baguette. But yeah, the Traveling Gilberts, and you had it and you loved it.
So we got some etouffee here.
While I'm in the South, try some real Southern food.
Right.
So,
yeah. And like I said, you can never go wrong. I usually do a seafood etouffee that has shrimp in it as well, but the crawfish etouffee is really good as well. Wow, that's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food.
That's a whole lot of food.
And
that's a big old half platter.
Yes, it is.
Next don't, when you come to New Orleans, is don't think that Mardi Gras isn't family friendly. Now, I know people think Mardi Gras is just this wild party with women flashing breasts and people going crazy, over drinking and going wild. But a lot of people actually bring their kids to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras Parade has tons of kids, tons of families out catching beads and having a good time. So don't think that Mardi Gras is just a wild party. Now, I will say this, that every Mardi Gras parade is different. There are some satire-type parades that are more adult-oriented parades with less kids, but every Mardi Gras parade I've ever been to, there's been tons of kids there, and it's very family-friendly. People bring their kids. They've been bringing their kids for years, so don't think that Mardi Gras is just this wild, everybody's flashing, everybody's exposing themselves, wild party that's adult-only, because Mardi Gras is very much a family event. The next don't for you is don't just go to the French Quarter. As I mentioned earlier, New Orleans is a pretty easy city to navigate with the streetcar, with Uber and Lyft and different things. So you can do a lot more than just go to the French Quarters. There's also areas like the Warehouse District where you go see a couple different art museums as well as the World War II Museum, which you must visit. Obviously, there's other areas of town as well. Magazine Street, you want to visit down in the Garden District and see some beautiful homes. You could also visit City Park area where you can see the huge art museum and sculpture garden out back. Also, a lot of great things out there to see. Children's Museum. There's just tons of things to see all over the city other than just the French Quarter. The next thing is don't forget about your safety. Now, New Orleans has a high crime rate. I pretty much say take the same precautions you take when you're in any large city. Do not leave stuff out in the open where people can break into your car because burglaries happen in New Orleans more frequently than we would like to admit, and crime happens in New Orleans more frequently than we would like to admit. It gets really wild there, so make sure you're taking care of yourself and your belongings. Best thing I can tell you is keep your head on a swivel. If you're going with multiple people, make sure you stay together in groups and you're not walking alone and you're not vulnerable, drunk, walking by yourself in the middle of the night, things like that. Just take all the safety precautions possible to make this trip as safe as possible, just like you're anywhere else, but definitely be aware of your surroundings in New Orleans. And lastly, this is a bonus right here. So when you're out in the city, you're out in the French quarters in particular, you're going to see a lot of people out playing music, a lot of buskers dancing. You're going to see the guys that's frozen up or at least pretending to freeze up without moving. Don't just go and take pictures and videos and all this stuff and not tip them. So make sure you're tipping the buskers and tipping these people who are out here trying to hustle. But if you're going to take pictures, you're going to take videos of them, make sure you tip them. If you're not going to take videos and pictures of them, you don't have to worry about it, but make sure you're tipping them.
And that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I ask that you please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell notification so you can know when I have more material coming out in the future. And as always, remember, live today, grow today, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Peace! And travel. Lots and lots of travel.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like, share, subscribe button. Leave any comments below. I love to interact and help us to continue to grow as a travel community.